Hello. I'm making a video leaning against this amazing cedar tree. The cedar tree has 3 trees coming out of the main tree trunk, and the main tree trunk is about, I can't show, I have to be careful with this. The camera guard is gonna fall. The main tree trunk is already splitting into several right here. And this is an amazing tree. I am in awe with this tree. Look at this tree. Look at this. This is all part of the tree. All of these branches that are branching out from the bottom. All branching out all the way up. And all the way over there. And all the way deep into this direction. And behind me, on the very other end of this enormous cedar tree, is the lawn where I usually sit. And now I am inside of this. I don't want to show the license plate just in case this might show the license plate number. I can't show it in the other direction, but I can show it like this here. There's the Camellia japonica. This big tree here is a Douglas fir. I think it is a Douglas fir. No, it's a spruce. This one is a spruce. And the one that's leaning over there, that is a Douglas fir, and we rescued him because he was about to fall over. Because the people before us, they did terrible stuff with that poor tree and another tree that was next to that tree. And I guess these trees must have been very young in the beginning, several years ago, maybe 20 years ago. And then these people had the nerve to drill like big screw hooks into both trees and install a 2-seater swing, for old people, like these so-called Hollywood swings. My grandmother had one of those, but not installed on trees. That had its own frame, its own very strong steel frame, and it was like a 4-seater Hollywood swing that my grandmother had. Really nice, really lovely. We loved it. But these people here, they abused these back then very young trees, and one of the trees was dead. We had to cut that tree down, and this one we rescued this one in the nick of time. So this one is leaning over in that direction because of that swing that they put on, and now that swing is sitting there on the pavement. Paul has to cut it up, and I guess he's gonna use it for something else, or for firewood or something. So yeah, wherever I go, I rescue trees and animals. And one time we went to a campground and people had tethered a really large rope, like a hangman's noose rope type of thing on there. I guess they were hanging barbecued. I don't even want to say it. Or Freddy Krueger was there. I have no idea. But anyway, I had to cut that and take that off the tree, because that tree was still growing and I didn't want that rope to get embedded into that tree. So wherever I go, I always take charge because I care. You know, I guess the majority of people, when they go through a place and they see something, it takes a lot until they probably have this need to intercept. Okay, and then those people that do intercept, they get called Karen. You know, I already said it many, many times. I am a mega Karen. I'm a monster Karen. Okay, I will always be caring because that's what a Karen is, and that's what the word Karen means. The name Karen means caring. Okay, that's all it is. Yes, there are some mean Karens out there that will say things just to annoy people. Those exist too, you know, like, for example, I don't know, some people are very, very miserable, like that lady that attacked Paul the other day. He was driving too fast onto that parking lot, but I didn't say anything. But this lady living in that trailer park, she saw him driving fast, and she came out and she hollered at him, really, really mean. And I told her, I agree with you 100%. So then she felt a little bit better, because sometimes people need a little bit support, you know. And she was right. He was driving too fast through the parking lot. They have a 5 miles per hour speed limit. And people should take that seriously, because what if there's a child on a bicycle, or what if there's a dog, or birds, you know. So you have to drive very, very, very slowly through any kind of park area. So whether that's a trailer park or a parking lot, we do the recycling there, or whether that's some kind of RV park or something. In the entire RV parks, you know, they may be very, very large. You can only drive maximally 5 miles per hour in there, and there's a reason for it. Okay, so, and then there's areas here where the people, I guess the hunters, or I don't know, the majority of people that probably vote in certain laws, and they voted in a maximum speed limit in the redwood forest areas and stuff like this. Maximum speed limit that is way too fast for those areas. So if I had legislative leverage, I would reduce the speed limit a whole lot. There are some areas where I would reduce the speed limit to 10 miles per hour. I mean, it's just a stretch of, like just a couple of 100 feet, you know, where people have to drive more carefully, because there are elk crossings, whole elk herds that are walking across. I've seen an elk that had where the skin had fallen off the butt. And I already knew why that happened, because a car must have hit him and maybe skinned him, or he fell on the side and skinned himself in that process. But apparently the elk was still walking around and grazing, and so he wasn't limping, but the skin, a big chunk of skin had come off the butt, and that made me worry. And when I saw that, and I saw how the people were speeding, I wrote petition letters to the legislation out there in Humboldt County. But I don't even think they responded at all. Most people don't even respond. But it's still worth trying. It's still worth writing a petition letter. And what works even better than that is if you get other people on board and sign that as well, or write their own letters as well. Okay, or you circulate your own petition and you have people sign your own petition. So there is a petition website where you can create your own petition, and I have several on there already, including personhood rights for animals, and already on round 5, and the first 2 or 3 I got about 300 signatures for each. That's not enough signatures. There's like there's a minimum of 1,000 signatures that one has to have in order to bring this even to the attention of a legislator, but I mean where it would have any kind of leverage. So that's what's recommended, but I have used the links anyway and attached the links to those pages where it shows the 300 or 400 signatures for it, and I wrote petition letters to different legislators. Obviously, well, you can also appeal to more local legislators, but it is probably a good idea to take these petitions to someone that's higher up in the legislative offices, obviously. And any kind of petition that goes to Joe Biden is going to be ignored, okay, but I'm going to sign it anyway, so what else can we do? So I guess Governor Newsom has listened to some of those animal petitions, and I'm grateful for that. So that's one good thing about him, okay, that he's very, very much liberal on the full spectrum, which is great. And I think the conservatives should be concerned about the earth and the animals as well. Okay, these are things that are so beyond party lines, okay, or any kind of political office or political affiliations or political leverage. These are the things that affect all of us. Okay, it's very, very important to care and to sign petitions for the animals and the planet. Very, very important. And I know that if Elon Musk was in the highest leverage positions, he would do everything he could for the earth and the animals and for justice, okay, for egalitarianism, so that everyone has a good life, that there's peace on the streets, okay, so that not more people are being murdered or raped. Okay, so we want justice and peace, and that is outside of any kind of movement or hate group or fashion or whatever. These are the important subject of existence, okay, to be there for others and to make things better in this world. And I'm working very, very hard on this, okay. I do my very leverage best to make things better for the world. And I am inviting everyone to do the same. This is your planet. This is your life, your existence. And you're not separated from me. You're not separated from the trees or from the dogs or the deer or the elk or any being, okay? Or the squirrels. You know, people run over little animals. You are that little animal. You ran over yourself by doing this. Okay? This is the law of the infinite. Okay? you are no different, okay? You are one with those. People, they want to separate themselves from all of this. They want to put themselves at the center, the human centrism. In truth. And I would say in reality, but truth is much higher than reality. People create their own realities and their own belief systems, and they call it reality. So the actual truth is very different to any kind of belief system. Any kind of belief system that's out there. If you understand the truth, it doesn't require a belief system, obviously. The truth is the truth. The truth lives for itself. The truth speaks the truth. Okay. We can say the truth, and we can be some kind of messenger for the truth, but it doesn't require a belief system. It doesn't require any belief system, not even like whatever. There are some belief systems out there that are like Wiccan or witchcraft or like nature lover belief systems and stuff like this, and they have rituals also. I'm not on board with any of this. I mean, I am a witch, but but not in a religious sense. I don't belong to some kind of witchcraft religion or Wicca religion. I don't belong to any of that. I will never belong to any of this. I'm a witch that, if you want to use that word. I rarely use that word. Because what is a witch? Okay, let's look deeper into this. Okay, this is what a witch is. A person. They usually refer to this name to women that were independent, but there are men too that broke away from society. And what a witch is, or what, it's an old-fashioned word, comes from the Middle Ages. They called those people witches that broke away from society, that said, this is not what I stand for. Okay, I don't stand for a genocide of witches. I don't stand for the Inquisition. I don't stand for executions, whatever means they use. I don't stand for torture. I stand for nature, for love, for peace. Those people have always existed, no matter how rough it was out there. They have always existed, and they would not stand for that shit. They would pack up their stuff and go deep into the forest. They would build themselves a log cabin so that they can sleep in there, protected from the elements with their animals. That's what they did. They would become scientists. They would study nature rigorously every day. They are out there studying the leaves, the shape of the leaves. They would paint, they would make drawings. If they were lucky and get a hold on a book that has empty paper sheets and some kind of charcoal pencil. And they would make these elaborate, amazing, fantastically artistic drawings of plants and nature, of trees and tree bark. And they would study all of this rigorously, compare all of these different shapes of trees and leaves and flowers. They would test them on themselves. They were scientists. The average people called them the alchemists or the sorcerers. But, you know, these words always had some kind of mocking connotation to it, embedded into it. Whatever they called them, whatever they called their activity, these people were scientists. They were honest, and they were out there in nature, and they loved nature, and they protected nature. They protected the animals. They were for love and peace. And that's a fact. Okay. It's very important, and this message is not outdated. It's not like, oh, the hippie flower power is over. We've heard it all. No, you haven't, obviously. And Save the Whales is also not outdated. Okay, all of these things are extremely, actively necessary and important. The whales are at extreme risk of poaching, whale hunting, by the commercial fishing industry, by any kind of fisher person out there that is going after whales, and particularly the Japanese fisher people, Japanese whale hunters. They are ruthless. Okay, this is a serious situation. And also underwater noise, underwater mining operations. They didn't have that during the Middle Ages. The whale populations were doing well during the Middle Ages. Okay, so with the advent of industrialization, commercialization, vast scale mining operations, fishing operations, and so on, with the directly proportional to the increase of the human population, of course, and also with this inevitable technology revolution. You know, there are pigeons. I didn't know there were pigeons there. The Industrial Revolution, the technology increase, and all of that being used for exploitation. And so more than ever today, this message is absolutely urgent. And I will always talk about this, always. So there are several things that I wanted to talk about. Many things I wanted to talk about that go through my head all the time. Psychology in particular, because I think it's very important for anyone who is even willing to listen to my videos and to what I have to say, that you have to go into your own mind. You know, I don't know if I'm probably not gonna reach most people with this. Most people who even watch my videos, I'm not gonna reach most people. I'm already very well aware about that. But whether I reach people or not, I will make the video anyway, because the video has to be made. These videos have to be made. These things have to be talked about. Whether that's something that is taboo, or that is looked down on, or that causes people feelings of shyness or shame or pride or embarrassment or whatever that is, okay? It's mainly those kind of things that are actually the nitty-gritty, the stuff that makes you feel ashamed. That's the stuff that needs to come to the surface, because you're not the only person, okay? trust me on this one. The vast majority of people don't talk about their utmost inner psychological troubles. They would not. They don't talk about their sexual issues and problems. So this leads me to this thing that I wanted to talk about. There was that John Allen talked about this case in one of his videos. John Allen, the ex-Navy SEAL, Mr. Ballin. He's an amazing guy. And he talked about this case. There was this guy in the 80s. I don't know. I hope he's still in prison. I hope that murderer is still in prison. But anyway, John Allen talked about this murderer, and he told that story, what happened. And there's a lot more that I see in this case than is actually being discussed publicly in general. I always see more than what's going on, which criminal cases people are discussing or talking about or pondering about, because most people don't take into account that we have something like the corporate agenda, which is mafia-esque. That means they are basically the iceberg that is visible of the mafia. Okay. The so-called legalized tip of the iceberg that we all can see. That the things that are being done legally, in quotation marks, doesn't mean they're done ethically. Doesn't mean our legal system is ethical. Okay, but most people don't put their minds into it. But that's why I bring it up. But anyway, there was this guy, really good-looking guy, tall, and I mean good-looking. Even I thought he's good-looking. I'm usually not so much on the same page with mainstream taste, but yeah, this guy is definitely good looking, or was in the 80s. He was very good looking, tall and extremely muscular, and very like strong build. I like strong built men, but slender, and I like kind of overweight men, but he was like, I like men with shorter legs. I like men with really, really fat legs. So it's a weird taste, but it's I don't know where that comes from, but it is what it is. Everyone has their own particular preferences. So, but this guy, he didn't have fat legs, or he was like, you know, mixed between George Clooney and Brad Pitt, and I don't know, someone like that. Yeah, so really tall, slender build, muscular. Something's itching me here. And yeah, very, very athletic type of body, very, very good-looking Italian type of face, very even face, very symmetrical, nice hair, dark brown, wavy hair, very, very like broad neck, everything like the picture book Prince Charming, if he wasn't a psychopath. I mean, physically, Prince Charming. He had everything going in his life. Everything going for him. You would think, oh, you would probably be jealous. You think, oh, this guy has everything that you want. He has a beautiful wife, and she has 2 daughters from her first marriage. I guess teenage daughter, older teen, like more like 15, 16-year-old teenage daughters at that time. They had a beautiful large house, they could afford a gardener and all of these things, and beautiful cars and everything, and he had a good job. He had everything he wanted, right? And suddenly, at some point, he sets himself this day. He sets himself this day, according to what he later on told the police, is that at age 7 he decided that one day when he's an adult, he's gonna murder women. Just like that. I don't know whether he made that up just to look more crazy, to get a milder sentence or something, or whether this is actually true. Maybe there are some people there's something so bad wrong with the brain, with the wiring in the brain, that at age 7 they decide to one day they're going to murder a woman. You know, normally a 7-year-old boy will say, one day I'm going to get this job. One day I'm going to get this amazing Ferrari. One day I'm going to get a beautiful princess and marry her. No, not this boy. One day he's going to, when he's big and adult and strong, he's going to murder women. Okay. I mean, it's like, what the heck is going on through a brain like that? So he set himself this day, he was like in his early 30s, set himself this day, and on that very day he wanted to murder his wife and her daughters. And she had this guy that was mowing the lawn, and the guy that was mowing the lawn kept on mowing the lawn and kept on mowing the lawn, really big lawn, and he took a long time, and the guy paced up impatiently between the windows looking out to see whether the lawnmower guy was packing up, and he wasn't. He was still lawn mowing. So he decided to get in his car and drive away to some kind of motel. And there he was walking down the aisles, and he was looking casually into the windows of these motel rooms. And in one of the motel rooms, the window was open. He saw 3 girls, young women, like 20 or in their early 20s, sitting there eating popcorn, watching a movie. And that was like early evening, late afternoon. And he decided to murder them. He decided to knock on the door. He said he needed to see something in their bathroom. He's the manager. And they didn't trust him at first. They had a good instinct. But then he convinced them that he needed to get in there. And I would have still not opened the door. I would have said, I need you to come here with the hotel clerk. I need some other people that work for the hotel, for the motel. I need you to come with all of them so that I believe you. And you need to all come together like 4 people. Then you can come in and inspect what's going on with some broken pipes above or whatever that he made up. But they eventually let him in, which was a bad idea. And so he got into the bathroom, and then he had one of the girls come into the bathroom to show her something, and then he, I don't know, put some kind of band over her mouth and tied her up in there, and very quickly locked the door to the bathroom, and then I don't know how he managed this with 3 women, but he was able to tie them all up and then rape one after another and murder one after another. Horrific. Yeah. And then later on, he wasn't caught. He was some kind of nudist. He was always showing his nude body off on some kind of nude beaches of rivers, and they were even doing an investigation. They had criminal investigators come through the area, and they found him there nude on a rock, and he was completely calm. Psychopaths, they have a real low resting heart rate. They have no fear at all. He just got up and showed himself off to them, flashed himself to them, and he said, who are you looking for? And they didn't suspect him because he was so calm. But You know, we have to take into consideration that anyone can be a suspect in cases like this. But as they always have to do, they have to take note of everything. You know, they have to see which one is his truck, and they have to write down the license plate number and all of this, and put all of these pieces together. And then they caught 3 guys, young, like teenage guys, that claimed that had murdered those, but they didn't. There are actually people out there who will credit themselves with other people's murders. So they caught these guys. They thought they had the murderers now, you know, behind bars and everything was safe. No, it wasn't. Turns out after long interrogations that these kids made that up. They did not murder these women, and the kids had to be released. Some kind of prank, right? You know, or they're proud of this. They want to. Some people are proud of this kind of stuff. It's sad. This is a sad situation, and these are sad societies. You know, very. These are. I don't know if we can call them societies, but these are sad kind of fads, okay? But it's out there, all of this. So then, after these 3 kids finally confessed that they didn't do it, and they had enough evidence that they actually didn't do it, because they didn't know anything about some circumstances, or they didn't know about some things about the women, so they finally let them go, and they kept on searching. And then, like a month or 2 later, that same guy, the same murderer, he saw this abandoned, not abandoned, he saw this individual house. There was an individual house in a forested area, just by itself. An individual house. Baby dog, what is it? What is gone? I call him gone. Oh, and so this individual house, they're way outside of the community, and in that house lived an environmentalist lady. And that guy, she was young also, and that guy went after her, and she fought tooth and nail. She fought all the way to the bone. And I don't know, no, I don't know if I'm mixing this up now. Maybe that was the first one that he murdered. And then he murdered these other 3 to give this the appearance of madness and mass murder or something, serial killer. But maybe he was just a murderer for hire. Okay, so could be too. So, but anyway, he murdered the environmentalist lady, and environmentalists they're always at risk of being murdered by murderers for hire, okay, that work for the corporate agenda, that work for whatever, the forestry industry, you know, for the meat industry, for the pesticide lobby. They work for anyone, whether that makes the world worse or not, and that's the case with most people. They work for anyone, for anything that pays them. But a handful, or not just a handful, a lot of people, I don't know, maybe more than 20%, they will murder if they get paid enough money. And they murder environmentalists. They don't care who they murder. They murder compassionate animal rights activists, nature lovers, earth lovers, stewards of planet Earth. You know, they all go after them. But that lady put up a big fight, but he caught up with her. He slammed her head on the ground, on the cement. He decapitated her. And then eventually some people were able to tell the police that they have seen his truck near her house or in her driveway. And then they were able to piece the dots together, and they interrogated him, and took them probably a long time until he finally confessed. But he finally did confess. But he never leaked anything out about murder for hire. Maybe he wasn't, but maybe he was. So maybe they threatened him, the corporate agenda. Maybe they said, if you leak it out, that some other middleman collaborator has met you somewhere at a cafe or McDonald's and gave you those instructions and gave you the money for it. So if you leak that out, then you will never come out of prison, or we will make sure you will get the death penalty. They have their means of coercing, of threatening people like this. So I don't know if he's still in prison. I hope he is. I hope he got the death penalty. He needs to be euthanized. But my question is, what goes on in a brain like this? So all of these excuses like unempowerment kind of falls away with someone like that. That guy was not unempowered, obviously. Maybe from the sky perspective, the blue god sees much more than I do. Maybe the blue god sees that he was unempowered, like deep down in his unconsciousness. So who knows? But that's not, unempowerment is definitely not good enough of an excuse to hold the other cheek and say, oh, he was just unempowered, let him free or something. That's what Governor Newsom does. Okay, that's not a good idea. That's not good to do. Okay, ever. These people need to be euthanized. This is a fact. Okay, we cannot have violent people on this planet. We want to have a peaceful planet that we live on. Everyone, the environmentalist lady living all there by herself in that remote house, she had every right in the world to live in peace and in nature and enjoy nature. Okay, so anyway, peace and love.